I think the easiest way to describe it would be to say that it is an attempt to use sculpture as a medium to essentially visualize uneven development in terms of economic development. To visualize in a 3D environment, a tactile 3D environment, poverty in the state of Connecticut. Poverty, though, is just one variable that we'd be looking at.
And in terms of the sculptural realization of these ideas, the concepts are familiar territory. There's choropleth maps. There's ways of sort of conceptualizing three-dimensional distribution of variables. But once we translate it into tactile materials, say plaster or wood, those materials are going to add layers of association and meaning to the rendering. When we look at the plaster piece that we're working on now,
well, we're showing essentially the economic collapse of 2007.
Right, through home values.
Yeah, or economic meltdown, if you want. I think that's how we looked at it at first.
So this concept of meltdown will show with these two different pillars based on the shape of Connecticut that everyone will recognize, extruded to different lengths, and the physicality of the plaster will actually appear to be melting. So there'll be that additional sort of emotive or visceral connection to the way the information is rendered.
Jeff and I were having beers after work, and we were talking about each other's work. We knew each other from faculty senate in a different context. And, I explained to him what I do, which is I'm interested in uneven development, in basically looking at areas that are poor and areas that are rich, and why that's the case, and how contemporary capitalism really shapes those areas. And so the idea was to create something that engages students at a different level. So maybe something like that can be brought to a wider audience that doesn't necessarily have any background training in geospatial technology, GIS, or economic geography. And I think the three-dimensional objects we're envisioning might actually do that.
Right. I mean, the idea is to give these relational dynamics form, to make it tactile, starting with geopolitical shapes that people who live in Connecticut will recognize, the state of Connecticut, their county, their towns, and to create new three-dimensional topographies based on census information. It's a way to engage the public that's not a list of numbers or data. If it's something that they can walk around, that they can physically touch and see these disparities, I think it'll resonate with the public.
And I think one of the most exciting aspects about it is whenever Jeff and I get together, there's new ideas that are being formed. Bringing ideas up to Jeff and then he having an idea and how that could possibly lead to a sculpture is really, really exciting.
Right. I've always had an active sketchbook practice, but now Patrick and I both have sketchbook practices, and we bring them to, when we go out together, we bring our sketchbooks and we have the shared sketchbook practice of evolving ideas. We've developed a number of 3D models that are dynamic. We can alter both through CAD programs. We can alter the models, and then we're developing some models that are also physically dynamic. We're going to produce some of those models as static sculptural objects as well through 3D printing, laser cutting. And then we'll have a number of sculptural objects that explore various material responses to these ideas, like the plaster work.
And the thing that I would like to see, obviously, is that when we have those projects done, really bring them out to the public and having the public look at it, because I am really excited and trying to find out how the public will perceive those. It's probably the first foray of my work where it got seen by a broader audience. And the sculptural objects we create, I think, the way I envision them, and I think Jeff envisions them, and hopefully we'll be able to kind of mesh that together, and I think we will, I think are quite exciting objects and could be visually quite stimulating as well.
And through our collaboration in the classroom, our students have really had a sense of discovery that art is a different and powerful way to convey information. And we're hoping that the information resonates as well as the formal and aesthetic qualities of the objects.